It's hard to believe, but it's been 11 years since No Game, No Life aired, which is one of the most stylish anime ever, and I mean that literally. The color that was used was one of this series' defining traits. The palette is bright and highly saturated and drawn from neon highlights and glowing effects. A signature element is the character outlines. In the main series, the edges are colored red or magenta instead of the traditional black, which pretty much no other anime does. And this gives the figures a glowing, otherworldly pop that ties into this series' game's magical rules. The director Atsuko Ishizuka, in a May 2025 interview, explained the reasoning behind this style, tying it directly to her background, the source material, and her vision for what the adaptation should look like. She said that she identified more as an illustrator than a traditional anime director, and approached this adaptation with a painter's eye rather than a strict animator's workflow. So this goes against almost every rule in anime production. Anime production has an unwritten and sometimes written rule. Black outlines ensure visual clarity, prevent color bleeding, and speed up coloring and shading in digital tools. So the director took a risk and it actually paid off, but it paid off a bit too much because this might have actually doomed any chances of a season 2. So the reason why I'm telling you guys this about the art style is because that is pretty much the issue concerning the new season. Well, at least according to speculation. Ishizuka admitted that it created a lot of headaches for the staff in the workplace and even faced some resistance from the coloring department because the scheme was tricky to balance. However, Madhouse, the studio behind the anime, encouraged her creativity. So all this combined with the show being too perfect pretty much scared every studio away. So this hasn't been officially announced, but it's a well-known speculation. No one wants to be the team that ruins No Game, No Life's legendary visuals and status, as all studios fear the backlash that this would create. And like I said, season 1 was literally that good. But with all the trauma and headaches from the first season, it's almost impossible to recreate without those. And if the studio uses AI, that would likely create even more backlash from fans. However, on the other hand, with technology pretty much completely outweighing 10 years ago, it might still be possible to get a good season now, and that might just happen thanks to the original author. So Yu Kamiya, who is the original author of the series, has been one of this show's biggest advocates for over a decade now, and publicly, I wouldn't go as far as say begging, but he does ask for a new season on the series' anniversaries, in interviews, and whenever rumors flare up, and despite the light novel series currently on hold, or what seems like it, he refuses to let the dream die. So the chances are still high that we could get a new season, but again, this will be thanks to the author if anything happens, because at this stage, he's our best bet. The light novel was last released in November 2023 and concluded with volume 12, but is still ongoing. The first season adapted the first 3 volumes. That means we aren't even halfway through the story, so we can't count the movie that was released as the continuation of the story, but it was canon and is a prequel to the first season, which adapts volume 6 of the light novel. This is a self-contained prequel set 6,000 years before the main story, during the ancient Great War. It focuses on Riku and Shuvi, who are the original human and ex machina, and explains how Tet became the one true god and created the 10 covenants. So nothing from volumes 1 to 5 or 7 to 12 appear in the movie except for a modern-day epilogue tying it to Sora and Shiro. So if you can't wait for a new season and want to carry on the story, you can read from volumes 4 to 5 and skip the 6th volume. If there had to be a new season, it would adapt volumes 4 and 5, where in volume 4, Sora and Shiro are asked by the Dhampir representative, Plum, to help the Dhampirs and Sirens. In volume 5 is where Sora and Shiro travel to the Flugel's home city, Avonheim, to challenge the Flugel for strategic reasons and information which I won't spoil. So, in short, season 1 was so visually insane and technically brutal that it accidentally cursed itself, speculatively speaking, and no studio wants to touch the sequel and risk destroying a legend. Yet the story is barely 25% done, the author is still fighting for it every year, and tools today are light years ahead of 2014. So one determined announcement from Kadokawa or a brave studio could end the 11-year drought, but until then, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.